Anthony, what are you doing? I'm practicing. Creed inspired me. I'm going to be the next heavyweight champion of the world. That's a good one. You're definitely going to need some more practice because your form is awful, man. You really just... Hey everybody, Anthony here from Awesome Anthony Productions, and today I'm going to be giving you my review of the latest movie in the Rocky franchise, which also happens to be Michael B. Jordan's directorial debut, Creed 3. But before we get started, please go ahead and subscribe and make sure you hit that bell so that you never miss any of my reviews. Now let's get into it. Creed 3 centers on Michael B. Jordan's Adonis Creed. No shit! A few years after he retired as the heavyweight champion of the world. He's living comfortably, training the next champ, while Tessa Thompson's Bianca is now producing music instead of performing because she's trying to save her hearing. They are also raising their adorable deaf daughter Amara, played by Mila Davis Kent, who has started to have a few problems at her school with aggression and fighting. That's when Damian Anderson, played by Jonathan Majors, comes back into Adonis's life.
You don't remember me, huh? Damien.
He's an old friend of Donnie's that got into a bit of trouble with him when they were kids, took the fall for it, and unfortunately spent 18 years in prison, watching Adonis live the life that he wanted and become the champ, all while he's behind bars. But now he's back.
Surprise, motherfucker!
And he wants Adonis to use his connections to help him get a shot at the title, no matter who Damian has to betray to get there, even Adonis himself. Now for the personal background ramble.
Ah, jeepers, here we go.
Rocky is another franchise I've adored since I was a kid. Thankfully, my dad got me started early with those movies, and I've always loved them.
Nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward.
Especially the first one and its raw, real underdog story. These are real stories with real characters and real drama, even if the sequels get a little wacky. Rocky, Adrian, Apollo Creed,
Ding, ding.
Paulie,
Hey, look what Rocky bought me with his money.
Mick, Rocky Jr., Ivan Drago, Mr. T.
Cowboy, man, I ain't going nowhere.
Great characters. So yeah, I've always had a soft spot for Rocky and its 5 sequels, regardless of how they fluctuate in quality. So when Creed was released back in 2015, my dad and I were pretty excited, and we were there opening weekend. We absolutely loved the movie, loved the story with Rocky training Adonis to be the next champ, while the movie never lost sight of the character, drama, and heart that made those original movies such classics. It also honored the legacy characters instead of doing the thing that would become the norm pretty soon after that movie released, taking legacy characters and literally shitting all over them. And it did all of that while updating it where it counts with some slick, gorgeous visuals in the fight scenes, and I thought the second one was even better. So, long story short, I was pretty hyped for this movie. And even though it borrows a lot from the plot of Rocky 5, like a surprising amount, this definitely stands on its own as an incredibly strong entry in the Rocky franchise, and a stellar directorial debut from Michael B. Jordan. And for the first movie in this trilogy without the icon that is Sylvester Stallone's Rocky, it's really kind of mind-blowing that it turned out as great as it did.
Not bad, kid.
Now let's get the complaints out of the way because they're minor, at least in my opinion, though I can understand why some people may have some gripes. The first thing is that the plot of this movie borrows kind of heavily from Rocky 5. In that movie, Rocky is retired and training the next heavyweight champ, Tommy Gunn, before the dude betrays him and he has to fight him in the ring.
I mean, you're a piece of garbage, you know that?
No! That's it! You told him I'd fight anywhere, anytime.
This movie basically does the same thing with Adonis and Damian's characters, which can feel a little unoriginal. There's even a subplot in Rocky 5 with Rocky Jr. struggling to avoid fighting at school. Literally the same thing that happens here with Creed's daughter Amara.
They're the same picture.
Though I will say that it's not just a carbon copy. And these elements are reworked and executed in unique enough ways to where it never felt like a complete ripoff. I will say that it works in the context of this movie. My other small complaint is that outside of Adonis and Damian themselves, a lot of the more prominent characters from the trilogy are sidelined, with subplots that are brought up and given a little bit of attention but then eventually dropped.
How could you forget me?
Bianca especially. Aside from her hinting and not really being happy of where she is in her career right now and how her musical performing career ended up, her role in the movie is basically to be Adrian to Adonis's Rocky, and not much else, while never really reaching the emotional resonance of that character, which is a shame because she was such a strong character in the last 2 films. Though Tessa Thompson, as always, does a great job and has some really great dialogue throughout the movie, though I know that that's thanks to the scriptwriters, not necessarily her. Honestly, that's all I really had for complaints, so let's get into what I loved about this film because it's damn near everything.
No way.
Michael B. Jordan has really cemented himself as a strong actor throughout his career, and it's been a treat watching him grow comfortably into this role of Adonis Creed and mature this character throughout the years. What started as a hot-headed kid with a chip on his shoulder, ready to take on the world, has turned into a kind, selfless, and dedicated husband and father, while also being a coach. And his arc in this movie? I heavily resonated with it, revolving around learning to face your fears and anxieties while trusting the people that you love and the people that are around you with them too, so that they can help you and you can open up and not just carry the weight of that and bottle it all up inside. Jordan fulfills that role very well, being a commanding authority when he needs to be, while really laying on the emotion and vulnerability while the story calls for it. And his performance never fell short of completely engaging for me.
This some serious gourmet shit.
Him and Tessa Thompson still have as much chemistry as ever, and when they have to argue or have deep conversations about their relationship or Creed's past, they feel like a real honest couple with genuine struggles that many couples go through. Honestly, this felt like one of the most real married couples I've seen on screen since Marriage Story.
Every day I wake up.
That's also true when Amara is brought into the story, adding just another layer of emotion and heart to this story. And this film is already like a f***ing onion with the amount of layers it already has. Cue the Shrek clip.
Layers!
Oh, and I forgot to mention her, but Felicia Rashad shows up again as Adonis' mother, and she has a brief but definitely effective role that adds just that much more heart and emotion into the story. Okay, on to what I know you want to hear me talk about. Jonathan Majors as Damian Anderson. Man, if this is what we would have gotten from Kang in Ant-Man 3, I don't think anybody would have had any complaints about that movie. When he first comes into the movie and meets back up with Adonis, he's kind of like a lost puppy. Though he attempts to maintain his pride and refuse a handout, he's very vulnerable with meeting up with Creed again, and incredibly charming and kind when he meets Bianca and Amara. But as true motivations come into play, and he and Creed go from old friends to new rivals, he quickly becomes threatening and ruthless.
I vouch for you. You think you mad? Try spending half your life in a cell. Watching somebody else live your life.
With an unpredictability that Kang desperately needed, honestly. And the best part of this is that Majors plays all of this incredibly naturally and effectively, bringing a ton of emotion and heart to this character, to the point that you still want redemption for him and kind of want him to find a happy ending, even though you're starting to hate him towards the halfway point of the film. But for the nuance of this movie and the themes that come into play, like facing your past, owning up to your fears, insecurities, and emotions, and trusting the people you love with your vulnerable side, Damian is not just a really great foil for Adonis, he's a great parallel to him as well. So yeah, I love that character, and really there's just great performances from everyone involved, even the sideline side characters. The last two things I want to gush about with this movie are the score and the cinematography. Because holy shit, does this movie not just work on a story and performance level, it's also executed brilliantly well on a technical aspect. The score by Joseph Shirley is quiet and melodic when the film slows down for a more dramatic emotional beat, upbeat and motivational during training in those early fight scenes, and straight up epic and fucking hype inducing during the final fight. Speaking of the final fight, let's bring up the cinematography. There's nothing too crazy and inventive during the scenes outside of the ring, but you can feel that they were competently directed and well shot. But those fight scenes, I understand why people are saying that they feel anime inspired. The way the camera moves, the way it slows down every now and then, the ways that moves are executed and shot, the ways that special effects are applied, just makes these fight scenes completely exhilarating to watch. And I was on the edge of my seat bobbing and weaving with every single one. Though it borrows a lot from Rocky V and abandons most of its subplots, along with sidelining some supporting characters, Creed 3 is still one of the best in the Rocky franchise. A dramatic, exciting, and ultimately uplifting story, anchored by fantastic performances and technical direction, especially from director and lead Michael B. Jordan and the standout Jonathan Majors. And that's my review of Creed 3. If you like this review, you know exactly what to do. Please scroll down, hit that thumbs up button to leave me a like. It's not just for my ego, I promise. It actually helps with the YouTube algorithm so that more people can see my channel. And if you haven't done so yet, please make sure to subscribe and ring the bell so that you never miss any of my content. You can also find the links to my socials in the description, or you can click or tap on these cards here to go to my review of Cocaine Bear, or just over to my channel where you can check out my reviews, my shorts, and my old shit. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I will see you soon for my review of Scream 6.